Hello, it's 10 p.m., September 21st, 2020, and welcome to this weather update. Get back on the screen there. Um, so we had some haze in the sky today, and let's just show you. I did go to the Pines, but sky wasn't really as nice as it was on there. Was some haze, and it's the smoke from the wildfires that's back again. So you can see it here. It's Wildwood Lake. You can see the haziness in the air. Wasn't as bad as the other days, but you can definitely see there's the sun, hazy sun, smoke there, and here's more. You can see that smoke at sunset right there, and then over here too, you can see it as well in the air. So, yeah, we're dealing with that again. But first, before we talk about the smoke, we got to talk about the tropics. Okay, let's start with her. Let's start with Beta right now. Beta is making landfall right now. It's a slow-moving storm. All right, it is a weak storm. It's very weak. It's weakening, so the wind really won't be too much of a factor with it. It's all going to be about the rain. The heavy rains are occurring across central Texas and the coastal area. So as of 7 p.m., it's located 28.3 north, 96.1 west, about 20 miles southeast of Port O'Connor, Texas, and about 25 miles southwest of Matagorda, Texas. Maximum sustained winds are 45 miles an hour, moving northwest at 5 miles an hour. It's moving faster than Sally, at least. Minimum sunspot pressure 999 millibars to 9.50 inches. The main thing is going to be about the rain with this. The wind is not all that impressive at all. The maximum sustained winds are only 45 miles an hour, so it is a weak system. So let's go look at the warning cone here. All right, so it's going to stay pretty much a storm, a weak tropical storm as it moves along the coast, and then just a depression. So it's the good news about Beta as far as that is concerned. And I honestly don't think it's causing a whole lot of power outages either. We'll look at that in a moment. It's just not. It's mainly about the rain, flooding rain in this area. It won't be as bad as Sally, not nearly as bad, but it's still going to cause some flooding issues because a lot of these areas are prone to flooding. So now let's go to Teddy. Here's Hurricane Teddy. Hurricane Teddy, fortunately, is weakening. So as of 8 p.m., it's located at 34.6 north, 61.4 west, about 250 miles northeast of Bermuda, about 700 miles south of Halifax, Nova Scotia. Maximum sustained winds are 90 miles an hour, moving north at 26 miles an hour. So it's been picked up by the jet. It's getting sheared, and it's starting to lose some of its tropical characteristics. You'll see when we look at the satellite. Minimum sunspot pressure 956 millibars to 8.23 inches, and a tropical storm warning is in effect. Tropical storm warning is in effect for the south coast of Nova Scotia, and watch is in effect for other areas in the Canadian Maritimes. All right. It is a large storm, though. Hurricane force winds extend outward up to 80 miles from the center, and tropical storm force winds extend outward up to 275 miles from the center. So it's going to grow as it starts losing its weakening and losing its tropical characteristics. So let's look at the warning cone on this, and you will see the track pretty much takes it over. It gives Halifax a glancing blow with a post-tropical type of system. Because the waters are cold here, it is moving fast, but it's still really cold water. This area, fortunately, is protected by really cold water, and fortunately, it is in the end hopefully protecting the Nova Scotia area and the Canadian Maritimes from the worst of Teddy. So now let's go to the satellites, and we will start with Hurricane Teddy, I guess, because that's what's up here on the tropical tidbits. You'll see it's losing its tropical characteristics already. It's moving into cooler water. So look at that. It's really weakening. It's also getting sheared. It's gotten picked up by the trough, and it's being flung up. You'll see here it really is you see that classic example once they get picked up that the south side of the storm is dry. There's not much going on. All the moisture's on the north side, and you're really seeing this thing weaken quite a bit, actually. You can look at some of the other images as well. We'll look at the MODIS satellite as well of Teddy. This is Teddy. You can see it's really losing its tropical characteristics fast, which is a blessing, thank God, because if it were to come toward us, at least it wouldn't be as strong as it was. And that's because of the shear and because of the well, it's still over relatively warm water, but it's cooler water. And once it moves over the water near the fountain, it'll get even cooler. So it should weaken the storm. All right. Wait, not done yet. We've got to go to this. We got to go to loop of gamma. Beta, I meant beta. So we're not at gamma yet. Beta is not very impressive at all. It's barely anything. You can see here. Just that it's basically just a couple of. It's just a cluster of heavy thunderstorms. But where these thunderstorms are, it's going to produce flooding, and that's going to be the problem with this. Freshwater flooding from heavy rain is going to be the issue along coastal Texas with tropical storm Beta. So let's go back to the MODIS satellite, and we'll show you. You see, here is Teddy. All right, definitely looking a lot more ragged. Here's the Beta, which is also losing its characteristics. And then here's the smoke. And we were dealing with some of the smoke. You could sort of see it on the satellite here. There's like a little area of smoke that just came down over the northeast, and there's a little gap in between, and then there's more smoke over here. So the question is, will we break out of it? Because there's some clear air over here, clear air over here. It's very hard to predict what's going to happen with the smoke. It really is. But what I can do for you is we can look at the satellite loop. Right now, this is the later in the evening satellite loop. Let's go to a 96 frame satellite loop so you get an idea of where the smoke is. In fact, we may have to go even more than that. We're going to have to go more than that. Yeah, let's go to 120 frame. I want to show the whole day pretty much, so from beginning to end. So let's go to 150 frames. All right, yeah, this is a good point. So you can see the smoke. There it is. And it gets more visible as the sun sets. You can see there it is. It's not as thick as it was. Obviously, there's still some blue in the sky, but it's definitely not a nice deep blue. It's a little hazy. But it looks like there's less hazy air over here and over here. So maybe we can get into that for tomorrow, maybe. But, there's no guarantee, especially with things starting to get warmer. And Teddy is obviously not really acting to pull because it's a weaker system. We're seeing the coastal effects, but we're probably not going to see as much wind as I thought we might see. With that, so we looked at the smoke. Let's look at the current conditions here outside in our area, because it's a cool night tonight. And it was a pretty chilly night last night, actually so cold that Westhampton set a new record. So we're in the mid-40s across Suffolk County, mid-50s across Nassau County. If we look at the high temperatures today, you will see that the maximum temperature, the high temperatures today, we got up into the mid-60s on Long Island, so a little warm but still below normal. And they kind of disappeared there. Let's get those temperatures back. In New Jersey, maybe some more or less mid-60s there, maybe a few upper 60s. You can see we got those coastal. This is because of Teddy kicking up the waves. And that's going to be the main impact that we're going to have. It's just going to be limited to the beach. And, of course, News 12 was already talking about Long Beach. They're upset because the beaches are disappearing. Well, you have sea level rise, and then you have, this is what people deny, that we're in a climate crisis. The sea levels are rising. You have more storms, and don't complain. You picked to live on the South Shore. 35 degrees. It was the low in Westhampton. That was a new record set for most other areas this morning. Probably got into the mid-40s. So there was a 37 over here in Muttontown. So it can radiate there too. Otherwise, mid-40s. Obviously, the city holding on to the heat there. Low 50s. Let's see what it got down to in Toms River as well, west of Toms River. And it's not loading. $39. So it got down to 39. So let's go and let's go to the and right now it's 43 at the Gabreski Airport in Westhampton. So and you got this very dry air in place. Dew point's still in the 30s, obviously. So let's see. I'm sure that they made a note of the record at Westhampton. Let's see if they did make a note of it. Did they ever make a note of it? All right. Well, there was a record. That low at Westhampton was a record, but it is not. The Weather Service isn't mentioning it, but it was a record. It was brought up that it was a new record. That, I believe it or not, a record low for a change instead of a record high that was set. So let's go to the models here, and we'll look at what's going to be happening here. And we'll go here and we will look at the, I guess the eastern U.S. view. Yeah, the eastern U.S. Let's use that. All right. So here's Teddy. Obviously, still a massive storm. Luckily, it missed Bermuda. Here's Beta. All right, so we're gonna move this along here in the GFS, and it's pretty much nothing. You can see it takes a wobble west like that because it's getting pulled in by that trough, and then it'll impact Nova Scotia. Still very strong storm. So just because it may not be completely tropical, it's still going to be devastating. And this model at least takes it pretty close to Halifax. So this is going to be a big problem for Nova Scotia. Not so much a problem for us, but a big problem for Nova Scotia come on Wednesday. So hopefully they are preparing for this. And like I said, it's very rare that they get hurricanes up there. Yes, they get nor'easters, a lot of them, but this is going to be pretty strong, this storm here. All right, that moves away, and then we have the high, and then we get into a different kind of pattern with the Atlantic Ridge again building by the weekend, and it won't stick around for too long, but we kind of have to keep an eye when that Atlantic Ridge is like that because it does open up the tropics for if anything is there, it could come our way. But then after that's gone, we do see a cool down again with the high building, and that definitely would look like a trough there. If I go to the upper area, you'll see that. Trying to get this weather update at 15 minutes or less because they've been so long. So here is, you can see that what's going on. It's getting grabbed and then it's getting flung at Nova Scotia. It will be moving pretty quickly though. All right, so after that, you see the trough gives way to a ridge in the east. Then there's a trough in the Midwest that dives down, and we're on the right side of it. So that means we're on the warm side of it until it moves east, and then we finally get into the cooler side of it. All right. So let's go look at the European on this as well. It's probably the same idea. So yeah, it gets picked up pretty much. Same idea. Track's pretty much the same. So there's an agreement on the track, pretty much. Euro doesn't look quite as strong when it gets to Nova Scotia, but yeah, we'll have to see. So let's change this to regions, and I'm not really too interested in Beta because it's honestly a very weak system. It's going to produce some rain, but I don't think it will be as bad as it could have been. Thank God for that area. So let's go to the Canadian Maritimes. One of them is the Canadian Maritimes. It's always hard to find it. It's always hiding in here. Southeast Canada. Here we go. So let's go to the GFS. Let's go to the winds. And we'll take a look at the winds when this thing gets to Nova Scotia. All right, so here's the wind. You can see south of Nova Scotia, you still have winds well up there. But the worst of the wind seems to stay just offshore, which would be a blessing for them. And then they avoid most of the wind from this. So that's some good news right there. At least the winds don't look too bad, at least on this model. However, this, like I said, when you use this, it has a tendency to underestimate. So that's why we're going to have to look at windy.com as well. Next thing, of course, to look at is how much rain is this going to bring here. Total accumulated precip. It could bring, this is in centimeters because it's Canada, but it looks like it would bring at least 2 inches or more rain in certain areas there. So that's another thing that will have to be watched, of course. All right, so let me go back. No, don't change it. Let me go to a different model now. Let's go look at the NAM. This should show up on the NAM too, by the way, now. Let's get the 18Z NAM. Should show up on the NAM. There it is. So the NAM actually takes it a little further east and spares Halifax too much. Because it'll be the right side of the storm that'll be the most intense. And if the right side stays over the water, the only impacts are going to be along coastal impacts, and the wind damage won't be too bad. So that's the NAM right there. Okay, so again, I'm going to get more into detail into it tomorrow night when we're closer to the landfall of this thing. It's like I said, it's unusual to see this happen. Go to the northeast now. It's unusual to see a hurricane head for Nova Scotia. It's very unusual. But looking at the NAM, you'll see that we're just on the periphery of the strong winds. The Cape may get into some of them, but Long Island will avoid most of it. There it is, right there, making that there. And then we can look at that on the GFS as well. So it's pretty strong. The GFS keeps it pretty strong until and it wobbles it, and that wobble's scary because it looks like it's going to head right for us or New England, and then it kind of goes back again, and that's because the trough is grabbing it and then pulling it back up. So we'll have to see what happens here, but looks pretty strong. And again, the Cape could have some impacts with the wind. We'll just be dealing with the waves for the most part. Okay. Now let's go to the temperatures, and I'm just going to cover through the weekend. Or I'm not going to go any beyond that because we have so much that's been going on lately. So tomorrow will be a little warmer. We'll be around in the low 70s. All right, you can kind of see the cool air getting pulled down on the left side there at Teddy. Wednesday still warmer, and we're in the mid 70s Wednesday. Thursday still warmer, upper 70s, maybe 80 in New Jersey, and then we're going to be kind of warm Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because we have that ridge setup going on. So let's look at the dew points. They'll be coming up too. The air won't be as bone dry. Probably one more day with dry air tomorrow, I think, with dew points in the 30s. And then after that, the dew points on Wednesday come up probably to the low 50s. And then we'll be dealing with dew points in the mid-50s, which still isn't that bad. I mean, it's not going to be that humid. We'll maybe start to feel a little more of that humidity with dew points in the mid-60s as we head toward the end of the weekend into next week ahead of the next cold front. So let's go to the skies. If you look at this, you'll say, oh, the sky is clear. You know, there may be some clouds on the east end of Long Island from Teddy, but you look at this, you say, oh, the sky is clear. It's going to be nice, but this doesn't show the smoke, unfortunately. And, same thing for Wednesday. It might be showing clear skies, but there might be haze around. Thursday, we'll definitely see more clouds. Friday, but these are mostly high clouds. It's not going to, and look at that, Saturday, we're clear again. So we'll have to see what happens with that. See if we can get rid of the damn smoke, because the smoke just makes everything, the models don't have a layer for smoke, unfortunately, on this. We can look at the NAM, honestly. There's no point in it because it's pretty much going to agree with the GFS, I think, as far as the clouds go. So here we go. Here's tomorrow, and the NAM just keeps the clouds a little more east. So generally, the further east you go, the more likely you're going to run into clouds, especially on the Twin Forks, especially the clouds over the Cape there. And you got to remember, Teddy makes its closest approach later tomorrow to our area, and then it moves away and moves north into Nova Scotia. So again, this doesn't really show, but we'll have plenty of sun. Whether we'll have a blue sky or how much haze, there'll be some haze, but it won't be like what we were dealing with before. You'll still see, still be a decent amount of sun. The sun will be strong enough. You're not going to be able to look at it directly like you were, last week. Okay, so we're done with that. I guess we'll go to the windy.com next. Windy.com. Alright, so like I said, I'm going to just focus on Teddy right now, right? So this is Teddy right here. Put in wind gusts. This is the European model. Alright, so you're going to get to see, and then you can see how large the storm is. That's the one thing, it's huge. So the effects will be felt over a wide area. And like I said, just offshore Long Island, you're going to have winds around 34 miles an hour. And in Bermuda's getting some wind, but not as bad as it could have been, because in the core of the storm, this is saying 122. They're saying the maximum sustained winds are 90s. The Euro might be overdoing it a little bit. Let's go look at 10 a.m. tomorrow. You can see it actually looks like it strengthens it again. That would be weird if that happened. That would be weird. So this keeps it a pretty strong Category 1 or almost a Category 2 hurricane as it heads north, and you can see it is really picking up the winds over our area. We're going to have winds, especially on Long Island, sustained around 33, and on the Cape you're going to have, well, these are gusts actually, 50 miles an hour gusts. But again, I like to use the gusts because sometimes I think it's a little closer to the actual strength. So there it goes. It finally starts weakening. But again, we're going to be dealing with some wind tomorrow for sure. It's going to be a breezy day. and you'll see how you see how it moves up. Let me move this along to Wednesday, and you'll see again the worst of the wind seems to avoid Nova Scotia. The winds offshore could be very gusting up to hurricane force, but not on the land. But we'll have to see because there's so many variables with this. It could wind up being stronger than modeled. There's so many things that can change. Even though we know the track, we know where it's going, the strength can still be up in the air. Because sometimes you saw what happened with Sandy. It didn't weaken that much because it got some energy from the jet stream. So I'm going to take this back to now. We'll look at the GFS next on this. So GFS not quite as intense with the storm. GFS might be a little more realistic as far as the intensity goes. But you can see it kind of reforms the symmetry a lot. And again, it's still the same with the 90 mile an hour. It keeps it 90 mile an hour, and we'll still have the wind gusts in our area. And the GFS really kind of wraps it up. It almost like it's almost like getting some energy. That's what I'm saying. It's going to be kind of a hybrid because it's going to be getting some energy from the jet stream, from the trough there actually. And again, wind gusts. It's going to be windy on Long Island and in New Jersey for tomorrow, especially as we get toward the evening. And that's a concern because we haven't had much rain. So I wouldn't be surprised if they issue a red flag warning, perhaps for Long Island, especially because we haven't had much rain at all. So this is the storm here. And again, it says wind gusts up to 62. So this is going to be, this track is worse because it takes you closer to Halifax and the higher winds are over the land. So this could definitely cause some issues with power outages and down trees and coastal flooding for sure. So we'll go back to the European and we'll look at the waves because this is the scary part. All right, let's go to tomorrow here. All right, look at this. So look at this. This is 1 p.m. in the afternoon, and look at the waves around this thing because it's such a large storm. It's generating. You're talking waves up to 50 feet in the open ocean. Obviously, along our coast, we'll deal with waves 11 feet, 20 feet, but there's going to be significant beach erosion tomorrow and coastal flooding along low-lying areas, and you'll see that it's going to get even worse in the Cape. The Cape could have waves definitely 20 feet or more, so there could definitely be flooding in the Cape. Big problem with coastal flooding is going to be overwash at the beaches. The waves are probably going to be really impressive for the surfers, I'm sure. So here's Wednesday morning, and offshore already, waves approaching 30 feet south of Halifax. That's some scary stuff right there. So Teddy is going to be, it's definitely much more substantial disaster and have much more effects than Beta. You just by looking at these waves, you can see that. I mean, it's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. We're gonna keep an eye on this. You'll have a great night, and hopefully at least maybe we'll get a break from the smoke tomorrow. I'm really surprised we're dealing with the smoke again. I really am. I thought we wouldn't be dealing with it at all. I really thought we wouldn't be dealing with it at all. Let me just go to the Earth and Old School map model here and look at the smoke and see. All right. So which one is the best one to use? This one, I think. Okay. So let's look at this. We'll move this along. I see that little light area of smoke. It looks like it does get better. The wind might dissipate the smoke for tomorrow. It's like toward the afternoon, but then it'll probably come back again on Wednesday, and it might probably be thicker on Wednesday, at least according to this. So, I'll have to keep an eye on that, and of course Teddy. So, but the coastal impact is going to be pretty along the beaches. So that's going to be the main impact for us. Doesn't even have to hit us to cause a lot of problems, and I think there's going to be a lot of problems. The only thing that helps is that we'll have a strong wind, so it'll help push the water back a little bit. So